growing up, going to food banks and standing in line waiting for government cheese, and then seeing that there was a better way out. I started working at a local McDonald's at 15 years old, and that first paycheck showed me that I could do a better job taking care of myself than the government ever had.
Lauren Boebert, Little Miss Hypocrite. That's the Colorado Congresswoman and MAGA mean girl discussing her new book, My American Life, and part of her story that many of us might not know about. Sure, we're familiar with her QAnon dabbling, her open carry restaurant Shooter's Grill that's now a Mexican restaurant, which is just delicioso. We might also know that she was once booked for disorderly conduct at a music festival and other classic white girl shit. But it turns out that Lauren Boebert was at one point on food stamps and received government assistance. And to be clear, there's no shame in any of that. That is, unless you belong to a political party hell-bent on taking that assistance away from others. This is the classic climb the ladder and then kick it down behind you origin story of far too many people in power. Republicans are now aiming to cut SNAP benefits, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program that helps over 40 million Americans not go hungry. Why was the program good enough for you as a starving child, but not good enough for starving children today? What, back in the day, kids' stomachs weren't woke? Now, mind you, this month the SNAP benefits that increased because of the pandemic are already being cut, a move that could possibly throw 4.2 million Americans into poverty. So Biden's hands aren't clean here either. But since the president got the GOP to swear that they wouldn't cut Medicare or Medicaid, Republicans gotta cut something. Their donors paid for that. And so they're gunning for food aid to families. So this is the party that wants to bring the Bible back into government. Yeah, because we all remember the parable of Jesus taking food out of a hungry baby's mouth to teach it the value of an honest day's work. That was in Luke chapter... But what about that McDonald's paycheck at age 15 that Boebert is really proud about? Yeah, why not just rely on a job at a massive billion-dollar corporation? Well, it turns out that McDonald's is one of the top 5 employers in this country where employees are on federal benefits like food stamps and Medicaid. That's according to a 2020 study commissioned by Bernie Sanders. So if workers have jobs but still need to go on food stamps to eat, then who's actually relying on the government? It sounds like instead of paying a better wage with benefits, these corporations are the ones who are banking on handouts. But socialism for the rich and incorporated, right? So if you can't rely on the government or a corporate job, what can you rely on? A man. Republicans at the end of the day want women in particular to rely on men and to have their unpaid overworked job be raising kids, wanted or unwanted, as if that weren't an incredibly dangerous prison of its own. For example, Lauren Boebert. She's a mom of 4 who dropped out of high school, and her husband not only exposed himself to 2 women at a bowling alley, which, like, strange choice, bro, but he's also been arrested for domestic violence against her. Lauren Boebert. Now look, I guess she's risen above that, and honestly kudos to her for somehow wrangling herself into a position of power she's breathlessly unqualified for. But what about others like her? How are they supposed to raise 4 kids with an abusive flasher of a spouse? Become a congressperson and get $170,000 a year to take benefits away from other people? I guess that's one way out.
Did you hear? Congresswoman Lauren Boebert supports science, education, and making baby formula easy for everyone. Just kidding. She's against all that stuff. But CPAC still gave her an award. Check this out.
So when you find somebody who's standing for us, I'm going to repeat this again. We need to stand with them. And I sat there on election night and every day after until they finally finished counting the votes, sitting on the edge of my seat going, please God, please God, please God, please God. And then all of a sudden it's had this little check mark beside Lauren Boebert. And I went, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this year, right now, we would like to present Lauren Boebert with our Mothers of Influence Award.
So there you have it. CPAC just awarded Lauren Boebert the Mothers of Influence Award. Now that feeling that lady had, I don't know who she is, but the feeling she had when she was watching the election, the most recent elections, and Lauren Boebert actually was very close against her competitor in a district that she should have won easily, but it was very close. And that feeling that that lady had when Lauren Boebert won and she goes, yes, I had the exact opposite feeling. I was like, no, because Lauren Boebert is the worst. She's one of Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, they're just all bad human beings and really unintelligent. And Lauren Boebert, there she is, she's getting the Mothers of Influence Award. Her son, her 17-year-old son, is about to father a child. Now, I'm not here to judge anybody. My guess, I would hope, if I were my son, I would hope that my son wouldn't be having a kid that young. To each his own, but I think as a society, we probably need to have better circumstances for when people are going to have kids. I'm guessing a 17-year-old is not quite ready to take care of a kid, but Lauren Boebert saying, have the kid, let's go for it. Let's just bring this kid into this world, see how it goes. So there she is. She's a mother of influence, and it has nothing to do just with her kids. It has to do with the policies she stands for and is against. She's not pro-education for kids. She's not pro-science and listening to science and what's best for children. She's not pro-making baby formula available to kids, to babies at a young age. So she's really just doesn't stand for a lot of good things that are pro-child, like being a good mother. And yet, CPAC still gave her the influential mother, whatever that award is. Why not? Because they're CPAC and they should award it to someone who is just the worst in terms of being deserving of such an award. But let's listen to Lauren Boebert herself and how she feels about children and educating children and being a good mother. Watch this.
But we have to get aggressive and say, there is going to be money spent in the Department of Education that is going to be funded. What do we want that funding to go towards? What do we not want it to go towards? Because there are schools that are worse than that are teaching worse than just gender ideology. Yeah. They have comprehensive sex ed. They're teaching kids how to have and enjoy sex and even same-sex sex, how to pleasure themselves. Wow. This is not something elementary students should learn, nor any student in a public school. These are the things that we need to go after and cut their funding.
First of all, Lauren Boebert, as a father, I really don't want to have that conversation. So I do hope schools would have that conversation with our kids. But the truth is, I'm going to have that conversation with my kids as well. And I think the more knowledge we have, the better off our children will be. And maybe they won't be having children at the age of 17 on their own, all right? If you travel anywhere else in the world, I was in Holland. If you go to Holland, sexuality is not as puritanical as it is in this country. In this country, Janet Jackson's nipple fell out during the Super Bowl, and people like Lauren Boebert lost their minds. They go, oh my God, there was a nipple in the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, you go to Holland, people are walking around. I went to a spa. There was guys and girls naked walking around. No big deal. They don't make it a big deal. They educate their citizens on sexuality. And when I brought it up to a guy in Holland, I said, how are you so relaxed about sexuality? He goes, the truth is, here in Holland, we don't understand how you guys are so scared of sexuality. And meanwhile, all of your film and television and all that programming shows shooting and killing. That's not a big deal. But a nipple scares your whole country. So there you have it. Lauren Boebert does not want our kids to learn about sex education. She doesn't want our kids to learn about maybe planning for the future. So we all end up with 17-year-old boys fathering a child. That's not a good thing, Lauren Boebert. It's not a good thing. Here's the thing. Please, educate your children. Don't be afraid of education. Sex ed is fine to teach your children at the right appropriate age. She said that, there shouldn't be any of this in schools, she said, in public schools. So what, you got to go to private school to learn about sex? So only private school kids can know what to do and what not to do? Come on, Lauren Boebert. What are you, an elitist? Come on.